Hey, no, November 11th, 2020, bringing you your weekly Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. Um, First off, I want to say thanks to all the veterans out there. It's Veterans Day. Never want to forget all of our veterans and how much all of them sacrificed to make our country what it is today. So you see a veteran, thank them. But for the fishing report this week, first off, our water conditions. We've got 658.6 water level. So it's about a foot and a half low. Kind of come up a little bit last week. Water temp is low 60s, 61, say 63 or so. Water color is, I'll say, stained to clear. Like I said, the lower, some of your lower arms of, say, the 9 the gravois, the glaze is a little clear. The upper ends are stained up. Main lake is still kind of stained. If you get below the tow bridge, it starts to clear off pretty good. So, watercolor, or not the watercolor, but the conditions are stabilized. And it's kind of what we've been needing the last couple of weeks. We had some real cold weather, and it dropped that water temp about 8-10 degrees pretty quick. And it I think it just kind of messes with the fish a little bit if we heat up too fast or come down too fast like we did. And, it just kind of messes with them. But once we get into a stable, consistent temperature within, 2 to 5 degrees, things start happening. I think that's kind of where we're at now. We're going to have some cool nights, but we'll have some warm days, and that water will just kind of hover around the 60s, upper 50s, lower 60s for the next couple of weeks. So that's when things really start getting good. I was out today, started off throwing some topwater, had some pretty good success with topwater this morning. I started out throwing the black 3/4 ounce head knocker with the gold blade. Had a little action on that. Not what I was expecting, so I kind of switched it up to a bone colored whopper plopper and got a few bites on that. And then actually, it wasn't this one I was throwing a different one, and I actually hit it on a catwalk and totally exploded it. But the lighter color seemed to be getting a little better bites. So I picked up another buzzbait. This is the X-Bite, the Crocketer Head Knocker X-Bite in the white color. It was sunny today, wasn't real windy, so I went with the white with the silver blade and a gray ghost horny toad, and I really started catching a lot more fish on the white color. So, boy, when that thing hits the bank and you start retrieving, it looks just like one of them big gizzard shad breaking away from the bank that the bass are feeding on. So I think that's why, it did a lot better today. So, in this bait here, the X-Bite, it's got the keepers that hold these frogs, whether it be a swim bait or the frog or any plastic. And, man, you can skip it, cast it over them cables, cast it wherever, and you can use that trailer for most of the day, But, man, that thing really looks like a big shad coming off the bank. And, I noticed some shad this morning kind of working, and I think that's why the topwater was a little better. And then throughout the day, for whatever reason, they kind of came away from the bank. I noticed them suspended out, just kind of out over in open water, and the topwater bait kind of fizzled out. Another topwater I was throwing was a whopper plopper, and this, I'm not even sure what color this is, but it's kind of a transparent. It's got a kind of purple flash to it. Pretty clear. Looks like a big shad. I was trying to throw a little clear, a little lighter colors today with all the sunshine, and it seemed to make a big difference compared to like throwing the black whopper plopper I like to throw, or the black buzzbait. Today it was lighter color stuff. So. My point is, if you're coming down and you're fishing and you're not getting the bites that you think you should, and you're throwing a color, switch it up a little bit. Switch up from dark to light and see if that doesn't make a difference, because I know it did today. As soon as I switched to the lighter color, I started catching fish. So it's fall down here in the Ozarks. You're going to have to switch up your baits throughout the day, if not, every hour or something. If you're not getting bites, switch it up, because, man, the fish are all over. You catch them towards the backs of creeks, halfway back, main lake, you can catch them everywhere. Suspended, right up on the bank, steeper stuff, flat stuff, they're all over. Today it was fairly calm, and they seem to be relating to flatter points. I was working, like I said, the top water, and caught some just up on the flats. And then as the day went on, that kind of slowed down, and I switched it up I started throwing some stick baits. I was throwing just the Megabass 110 Pro Blue. I threw that, caught a couple on that. Caught a couple of white bass on that. You'll catch a lot of white bass up on flat points, especially if it's windy. But they're starting to run, so if you like catching white bass, right now is a good time to come on down and catch a bunch of those. Also, like this time of year, if they quit hitting top water or not hitting top water, like the rock crawler, you throw a rock crawler up on those flatter points. This is just that kind of a red color with an orange, kind of a slight orange coppery belly. Seems to work real well. And same thing, just throw it up on these flat points or flat banks, and you can just run these banks and just let that thing dig into the bottom, bounce off the rocks, and try to get a reaction bite. If they're not really feeding, that'll get it'll get a reaction bite. And a lot of times that's what you have to do this time of year. Just switch things up, like a rock crawler or wiggle art or your stick bait, and really jerk it really fast and really hard. Something just to get these fish to bite. Like I said, today, I switched it up several different banks or several different baits, and I caught them on each bait that I was throwing. So, the whole point is fall fishing here at the Ozarks. And really, anywhere you go, you just really got to switch things up and try to maybe find some wind. Obviously, find the shad. If you can find the shad, that's really, really going to help, be productive area. If you see a lot of shad, the bass are going to be close. Now, either they'll be up running the banks, or they'll be out suspended, out over open water. So if you get a case like that, you get some good wind, the spinnerbaits are going to catch you a lot of fish, some good fish. If you're fishing, like, say, the stained, little dirtier water, I like something with a little chartreuse on it, maybe some painted blades, one white, a gold, double willow, a little bit clear water, just a straight, like the mouse color with a Colorado, and one willow nickel. Both in 3/4 ounce. I like 3/4. I can really throw it a long ways. If it's windy, you can throw it into wind, and you can throw it a long ways. So if it's windy in the fall on the Ozarks, you're going to want to throw a big spinnerbait, bluff ends, bluff points, and then even down flat banks where the wind's blowing straight in on it. It's one of them deals. You can't say they're on flat stuff or they're on steep stuff. You got to jump around until you catch a few fish and kind of go on that. So it's just typical fall. Like I said, no matter where you're at, the fish are everywhere. You just gotta try to figure them out, and cover a lot of water is kind of a key thing. A little bit faster moving baits. In the fall we get a lot of wind, and you can really play that wind to your favor. If it does calm down and it's pretty slick, pretty calm, sunny, you're going to want to probably maybe go to a jig, work the bottom real slow. Like first, I probably, 10 to 14 foot, just drag you a football jig, like this Wheezy jig, just Ozark crawl color, with this Strike King Menace, or Rage Tail, I'm sorry, on there, and just try to maybe find some isolated brush piles, isolated cover, whether it be some of these concrete blocks that hold docks. You'll see cables going down to them. Those can be really good. Fish will suspend on those cables, and where those cables come down from these bigger docks, there's a big chunk of concrete. Those fish will get around those. Those are just an isolated brush pile way out a flat point. Can be extremely productive this time of year. If we do have, say, a pretty drastic change in the water temp, say for the next couple weeks, 3 weeks, and the water temp drops pretty drastic, a lot of times these fish will go right to a channel side of a creek. And when they do that, I like to just slow down and just throw just a good old faithful, zapper, 3/8 ounce zapper, Ozark crawl color with just our little ring crawl, maybe the green pumpkin red flake, and just work real slow down a little channel bank in the creeks. It seems like, like I said, when the water temp really drops fast, we get down more lower 50s. These fish will start relating more to channel banks. So, boy, there's going to be this weekend is deer season. There's only one tournament that I know of. If you're looking for something to do, if you're not deer hunting, Randy Collins putting one on out of PB2 from 7 to 3. He's just throwing it together. It's an open tournament, 100% payback. It's open to anybody, so if you're looking for something to do, come down and join a bunch of us out of PB2, 7 a.m. on Saturday. It'll just be a fun deal. So those are always good to get in, just visit with guys, shoot the bow, and just have a good time. After this weekend, we've got some bigger things coming up. I know the FLW wild card is coming here. That'll have a lot of boats in it. And the same things are going to be working. I'll try to keep you updated here. Next week, I'll do another video in case things are changing. I don't see them changing a whole lot for the next, I'll say 2.5, 3 weeks. So any of these baits are going to still work. You're just going to have to follow the wind, chase the wind, follow the shad. Your stick baits on windy points are going to be really productive. This is just a Aurora Black Pointer 100, works really well. Just your Pro Blue Mega Bass is going to work. Still your rattle trap baits, style baits will work coming off of flats, on flat banks. You just want to cover a lot of water. If it's windy, throw a big spinnerbait. That's the other thing, like the Alabama rig, it's going to start coming into play. I know there's a few guys catching on it already, and nothing too crazy. Just like these are Reaction Innovation little swimmers. Anything in a shad color, a little blue or a little purple on it, seems to work real well. And that's going to be for your suspended fish. If you see fish suspended out over deep water, say underneath big balls of shad, you throw that Alabama rig over the top of them, through them shad. Those big cables coming off of big docks, those cables go from the surface all the way down to say 25 foot. Try to work them cables with those, or really productive over deep brush piles. Anywhere you see shad, just work that Alabama rig over the tops of them. Today I was out there and I started seeing a lot of crappie suspended underneath docks. And when I say a lot, I mean hundreds of them underneath these docks. So I kind of got sidetracked and distracted pretty quick, but it didn't take long, and I had 15 of them, 11 and a half to 12 and a half, big, thick crappie. I caught me a nice limit today. So the crappie's getting really good. they're really bunching up tight, a lot of them. So if you do find them, you can pretty much sit on one pile of them and catch you a limit. You know, with those two different baits, if I was fishing like brush piles, around brush piles, I'd just see them on a live scope, and you'd see a brush pile, say a brush pile was down 15 foot of water, and I just throw this little swim bait. This is just that little Kitech. It's a little Kitech, little 3-inch little swimmer. We just rig it on an 1/8 ounce head, and just throw it past that brush, let it sink down till you're either on the bottom or just past it, and just steady retrieve that thing just over the top of that brush pile, around that brush pile. The crappie are getting really aggressive, so you get anywhere close to them, they're going to come out and grab it. So I caught a lot on that today. And you know, if I was fishing the open brush, but then if I seen a lot of them under the docks, I was just going to just, you know, nothing fancy, just an 1/8 ounce, or I'm sorry, a 1/16 ounce little head with the little Bobby Garland blue ice, you know, crappie jig, little straight tail crappie jig, and I was just shooting it way back up underneath them docks between the foam, big swim platforms, Main Lake docks, just off Main Lake. It seems to be where most of the crappie are right now, at least the good ones. You know, you just shoot it back up underneath there and just watch your line. And man, when they hit it, they jolt that line. At least they were today. But I was watching all of them on the live scope, and boy, they're really aggressive too. That bait would sink down, and that bait would get about 2 foot from them, and the crappie were all reacting, and they were coming up and attacking the bait. So it's just telling me they're really feeding up. They're really aggressive. So you get a bait anywhere close to them, they're going to grab it. So you know, if you're into crappie and you want to catch crappie, right now is an excellent time to come down and crappie fish. The white bass are starting to run pretty good, catching a lot of them just on flat banks, gravelly banks. If there's wind on it, there'll be wind. You know, there'll be shad up on there, and the white bass will be up there with them. But you'll catch, you know, largemouth Kentuckys, white bass, everything along these flat banks right now. I was throwing that little swimmer up to the bank on some of these windy, flatter stuff today, and I was catching a lot of whites. So, you know, if you're waiting on whites to run and really start biting, that's happening right now. So, the lake's really calming down. Boy, I didn't see probably half a dozen boats out there today. It was really calm, really peaceful. Other than everyone blowing their leaves, it's really nice out. So, man, other than that, like I said, I'll try to shoot another video next, probably midweek next week, prior to everyone getting here for the wild card event. I expect you guys to really hit it at a really good time, as far as several things you can do. The topwater bite should be prime. I would say the next week and a half, 2 weeks. You know, the Crockett or Head Knocker buzzbait, you know, probably the white X-bite or the white skirted one, or if it's cloudy and dirty, you know, dark overcast skies, maybe darker water, maybe stick with the black. But this time of year is probably the only time I do throw some of the white, just because it looks a lot more like big shad as they're breaking away from the bank. So, you know, the whopper poppers, just experiment with the colors there. Your crankbaits, man, it's all over the place. So, but until next week, I'll keep you guys updated next week what's going on. But there's, you know, there's like I said, not a whole lot going on this week, but the following week things are starting up. So either way, but till next week, we'll see you guys.